What's up, party people? It's KeysDAN with RadioWhat.com, DJLittleRock.com, coming to you live in a living color from the Radio What studios. And this is my podcast, What Makes You Famous? It's an extension of the RadioWhat.com internet radio station that I've been running for quite some time. And if you need DJ services, where do I always send you? DJLittleRock.com. One more time, DJLittleRock.com. Check availability and get a free price quote, and maybe you can have me at your next event. Little old me. Yay. I'm so honored to be a part of your day. You know, I've been doing a lot of weddings. Oh, my goodness. I'm so happy that we're breaking out of coronavirus quarantine. I'm doing weddings. Mostly, they've been outside weddings, like either under a tent that's, has a nice breezeway, or under a pavilion. I know there's quite a few of these wedding-type chapel pavilions around Arkansas that I've had the privilege to go to. One that I'm remembering right now, Cedar Hills Farms. Such a nice place. I mean, it's covered, completely covered. I am way inside the pavilion, and there's plenty of covering. So even if a downpour torrential rain comes out, I'll still be covered. So that's just one place. And I know that there's quite a few. There's like the White River up in the north of Arkansas. And there's, quite a few places. And a big tent that can open up and have that nice breeze. And I guess we're getting vaccinated and all that kind of stuff. I'm fully vaccinated. I feel good. Hey, today on the program, I got Lou Megna of the Native Son Original Music. Who's Lou Megna? What? I just told you. Well, you're going to learn more about Lou Megna in the next few minutes, so stick around. You don't want to miss that. Hey, this week's shows, I'll be at the Old Post Barbecue in Russellville, Arkansas on Thursday night, the Video Dance Party Karaoke Jam. Yeah, I said karaoke from 6 to 9. That's my family-friendly show. Keep it nice. Yeah, bring everybody. It's a good after-school treat. It's a good treat. They got great barbecue, great people, and frosty beverages for the adults in case you care to imbibe. But I'll keep the music family-friendly. Yeah, it's a good time. It's good for your soul. And then on Friday night, I will be at the Rab in Conway, Arkansas. Now, this one is a 21 and over club. So full bar, kitchens open, pool tables. In fact, on Friday nights, they have a pool tournament. So if you want to try to make some money on a Friday night while you're waiting to sing next to little old me, come out to the Rab in Conway, Arkansas. That's from 8 p.m. until 12:30 in the AM. All right. And then weddings. I saved my Saturdays for weddings and parties. Oh, I'm so stoked. Yeah. All right, that's enough intro. Let's get into it with Lou Megna of the Native Son Original Music. I got him on Skype, so if you're listening to the audio version of this, I encourage you to check out the video version, youtube.com/user/KeysDAN. All right, Skyping Lou Megna now. Lou Megna in the house. Did I pronounce that right?
You did. Perfect. Thank you, Dan.
Oh, you're the goods. Hey, if you're on your phone, if you could flip it sideways, it'll fit in my broadcast software perfectly. And now they can see the whole Lou Megna of the Native Son Original Music. Man, I'm stoked to talk to you, bro.
I just want to thank you for the airplay that you've given us over the last few months. It's much appreciated, man. Thank you.
You know what I like about Radio What is I play everything that I like, and if I like it, somebody else is probably gonna like it. So I figure that's been my philosophy for the past 10 years since I've had. I guess it was Radio KeysDAN at first, and then my wife flippantly named it. I said, I think I want to change the name of the radio station. What do you think I should change it to? She goes, what? And I went, okay, there you go. And there was another reason too. And when I was on the red carpet in Miami, I would get a lot of people, when I was working at Exito 105.5, people would go, I would say, hey, say your name and you're listening to Exito 105.5. And I'd get, hey, I'm Enrique Iglesias and I'm listening to what? What? So I have tons of voices saying what? But
nice and easy. Anybody I've mentioned to, they're like, "Oh, that's pretty cool." They like the name. So,
all right, but Lou Megna, man, give the people an idea of who you are for those that have been living under a rock. I'm not even sure if that's a good statement. You've been living under a rock. I don't even know the origins, the etymology of that. But anyway, yeah. Who is a Lou Megna?
But I'm out on Long Island in New York. My day job is a school teacher, but I've been writing music, pretty much my whole life. I mean, I really started when I was a kid. I got to give props to my mom to get me started when I was young, playing piano and reading music and learning the basics and everything like that. So, but I was in a cover band that played around on Long Island for a long time as a bass player and a keyboardist. And I just, maybe about 3 years ago, I just had a hankering. I was like, I know I'm not going to make money, playing original music. I know what kind of hard road it is, but I want to go try. This is what's in my heart. So I left the cover band and, formed Native Son, and it's gradually grown. And we got a bunch of music available now, and not really plans yet to perform live again, but we're getting there, just like everybody is.
Well, Lou Megna, big ups to your mom, first of all, for getting you started. And I appreciate it. On behalf of everyone that loves the Native Son original music, hey, Mom, you're the best, man. And you're a teacher. So, and this is primarily a learning podcast, and I'm learning from you. I'm going to learn how you started, or what were the beginnings of you? You said you got on piano. How old a child were you when you got on the piano?
Like I said, I got it like you just did. I got to give the props to my mom, because she started me when I was 4, and I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, like it was the, the guidance and the love of my mom. She saw that I took an interest, and she just got me going and gave me everything that I could handle, regardless of what my age was, So, so I'm just like really thankful to her all the time that I got such an early start. If you're a keyboard player yourself, and you know that if you know the piano, it gives you a good advantage. So just understanding the rudiments of all music, rhythm and percussion and everything like that. And I've gone on to be someone who, I have a certain aptitude to play other instruments too. So, but definitely props to my mother for, and any mom, any parent that's out there, and just like getting their kid, like I said, forgetting the age and just what can he or she handle, let's just see what they can do, and I'm like always so thankful for that.
Man, you're giving them the tools. That's what the parents are supposed to do. Give them the tools to put in their toolbox. They got a utility belt. You got to fill that thing up with some good ideas. But you were 4 years old. Did you have like this full piano, or was it like a Casio little eight octave?
We had a piano, but it was an upright piano.
Wow.
My mom was, I'm a public school teacher. She was never that, but she taught at home. So she taught a few kids like privately piano. And she actually, this may blow your mind, she taught accordion. So, I mean, there was like a class full of kids. Like she gave individual lessons in our basement. And then she also taught like band night, and it would be like, like 10, 12 kids playing accordions. I don't know if you could find 12 people across the whole planet that play accordion now. You know,
I'm a fan of accordions, man. My father-in-law has an accordion. It's broken, sadly. He used to be able to play it, and then he got arthritis. When you get in your 70s, it's so terrible.
Have you ever played yourself? Have you tried to play accordion yourself?
I have.
It's so
it's challenging. Why? Because you have to move your fingers in different ways.
On your left hand you have individual bass keys. On your right you have like sort of a keyboard, and then you have to squeeze in and out to compress the air to make the sound come out.
Hey, Lou Megna, put your phone down.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah. So. Sorry about that. Yeah. So, but yeah, that's it. I mean, it's probably got to be one of the hardest instruments, like physically, to play.
There you go, man. There you go. Hey, for those that are listening to the audio, you didn't just notice that. When you're watching the video, you're going to see the shaky cam. It's like watching The Office. But I digress. But all right, man. the accordion. Let's get into that because I'm a fan. I like Weird Al, and funny, Frank Yankovic was no relation to Weird Al, but he was a big band member that happened to play the accordion, from what I understand. And I know Weird Al Yankovic, he plays, and he always said he growing up. Are you related to Frank Yankovic? No relation. And it's so funny.
Me though, I never knew any of that, so that's pretty cool.
But okay, so you grew up with a house full of accordion players. Man, how did that affect you? Was it a lot of polka, or was it like banda music, like Mexican banda music? It's so funny how Mexico and Germany, with the polka music, their styles kind of blended with that accordion. What kind of music was playing in the house?
Yeah, it was probably more polka, definitely. And also, like, I didn't mention this, but I guess it's relevant. My brother, he's like 6 years older than me, and he's a very talented saxophone player. So my parents already had that like liberal attitude about, folks coming over and playing music. So my brother was in bands that played, Benny Goodman, all the big band stuff, and, with like lots of horns. So they would practice in our basement or in the garage. We'd have kids in and out for their lessons. I was playing the piano, so it was just musicians in and out all the time, and I kind of reconstructed that lifestyle for myself as an adult. If you come over to my house, they're going to be musicians.
What year did you graduate high school, so I can get an idea of where you're at?
Oh, I'm 1990. I'm 49. I just turned 49 last week.
1990. I remember. I'm watching. Well, like I'm staying with my mother and father-in-law. We're in the process of moving, and we're watching a lot of movies from the 70s. That's kind of our happy medium because he wants to watch movies from the 40s and 50s, and I want to watch movies from the 80s and 90s. And we kind of settled in with some like Dirty Harry movies. And you're talking saxophone. There was so much sexy sax in the 70s and 80s with those movies, man. That's a staple of music. And you say your brother was playing sax. Did he take that anywhere? Does he play in a band at all?
No, like, I always tell him, I'm like, you're the one who's more talented. And he's like, what are you talking about? But he's in the medical profession and everything like that. And he plays when he can. He plays at church every once in a while, but he kind of like regrets not taking it as seriously, I guess, as he could have. He had some good opportunities when he was young.
Well, I mean, every once in a while, the native son's going to need a little sexy sax to roll in. I know that I'm watching your videos and I'm listening to your music. It's in the rock genre, but it's ballady. It's smooth. It's nothing you can put in a box. It's not like you're going to be, over heavy. Like we have a station called The Edge, and they play heavy metal all the time, and you could only take so much of that. And then you have a softer rock station, and it's light, and you could only take so much of that. And you are that perfect blend right in the middle. I don't know how you found that place. But I know it had to be something to do with your upbringing. If you could find the easiness because of the jazz sax, the accordion that affected you somehow. Were you playing in school, in high school? You said that you had a cover bands, but previous. When did you start playing for people besides your mom and dad?
Yeah, no, it's funny because I played saxophone in school. So I took after my brother, whatever he was doing, I was doing, except playing football. I didn't play football, but he inspired me to take sax, and you couldn't really play piano in school, so at that point, in elementary grade. So I played sax for like several years. So it's funny, the drummer of Native Son today, back in elementary school, he was a trumpet player and I was a sax player. It sounds like that, Spinal Tap-ish kind of, we've been playing for decades and that kind of thing, but it's really true with us. It's pretty funny.
Yeah, it's amazing how many guitar players started playing on trombone. I've been talking to, I talked to a lot of musicians, and I talked to one of the first guitar players, Ryan Hinman, here in Conway, Arkansas. He works at a local, at Palmer Music. He fixes guitars. It's so funny how people that are in the into music, they play music. If if they get a day job, it's probably at a music store or something to do with music. That happens a lot. But he said he was a trombone player, and then I got another guitar player who said he started off as a trombone player. But you started off as a sax player, and now what's your main instrument?
Piano player before that.
Piano.
Cello briefly. I played the drums. Now I played bass for many years in a band, so I've gotten like exposure with, lucky enough to be in the situations where I've gotten the opportunity to play so much, and play so many different instruments.
Who was the guy that did Pumped Up Kicks? I remember he did a song, Pumped Up Kicks, probably in 2017. There was a song called, and I remember the story that I heard was he was making a demo for the song, and he played all the instruments, and he sent it to the record company, and the record company put it out just like that.
I mean, I don't know that specific story, but that kind of reminds me of Dave Grohl's, first Foo Fighters album, where I believe he kind of recorded everything himself, and then that's what they released, Yeah.
So and what about the band? The band was all, what?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, with our band, I do a lot of the a lot of the writing and everything, but the guys that I work with, they're big contributors too, and I tell them all the time, because it's true, we wouldn't be able to do this without all of us, A lot of the lyrical ideas are mine, and a lot of the music ones, but everybody, these guys, they're great guys, first of all, like to get along with, and then, and character wise, and then, and then also just the contribution, so I definitely appreciate the guys that I write with,
No, that's good that you find a group of people that you can get along with. It's like a family. It becomes like a family because you're going to see these people all the time. It's a marriage of sorts. I don't know how the Stones stay together all these years. And bands like that have not broken up. Even Van Halen had to do a few switches to get it, because they got tired of one guy or another guy, and it's so funny. Even Aerosmith, I guess they're all together, mostly the original lineup. Or can you think of all the bands that have been around, that have had staying power, that have had that longevity? Maybe a handful, maybe two handfuls.
And staying together in the midst of success, I'm sure, is really challenging. I mean, it's hard to stay together when you have no success, but it's hard. I'm sure you pulled in different directions. I would imagine, if you hit it big with your music. So, so when you mention a group like Aerosmith that have had such huge success over decades, they're either very shrewd businessmen or they generally get along,
Well, I guess the money doesn't hurt. Hey, look, you're going to leave your family for about 6 months or 8 months, but we're going to give you this big bag of cash. In fact, we're going to give you 2 big bags of cash. All right, I'll go. All right, I'll go. How much is it going to take to leave your family behind for a little while? So you can go do this job. It's weird. I know a lot of people say, I don't do it for the money, but the money is part of it. If you can take this career, and I know you have a day job as a teacher, and that's a wonderful thing. But if you can do this passion that you have and make a couple bucks off of it as well, that's the American dream.
That's fantastic. I don't know if you're familiar at all with a famous Long Island musician, Harry Chapin, from the 70s.
Come on.
And Cats in the Cradle was like one of his biggest hits in Taxi.
Flowers Are Red is probably my favorite.
All right. So you probably maybe you might have better knowledge of his music. I'm like really interested in the man and the altruism and the humanitarianism, excuse me. So like what I do is, I'm blessed to have a career that provides for me and everything like that. So when I make anything with the music, it actually goes to Harry Chapin Foundation on Long Island. I actually match it with any of my own money. My ambition is like to make enough money in music where I can't, I'm like, you know what, I can't match this. Like it's too much, So, but I just try to send it to them because I've volunteered at Long Island Cares before, and they do like legit good on Long Island. I've seen it with my own eyes. So, I'm totally inspired by Harry Chapin. I'm nowhere near as talented or successful, but I'm trying to like pattern myself a little bit after him. So.
No, but that's a good thing that you're doing. Is you're giving back to the community, and you say that the organization is Long Island Cares. Whenever I'm about to take a percentage of my hard-earned dollar and give it to a foundation, do I know that it's going to be doing good? Do I know for sure where is this money going to go? But if you vouch for Long Island Cares, and okay, as a teacher, listen to Harry Chapin's Flowers Are Red. It's about a kid that gets his creativity drilled out of him.
As a teacher, I always have a pencil ready to take notes. So
you are fantastic.
Follow through, I promise.
I was told a long time ago, man, I should have been a teacher because I have the patience to talk to people, to work things through, and I have a deep care for what people are made of, man. That's why I enjoy just talking to people, and I've been doing that on the radio since '86. And I'm 52. But one of my favorite parts of playing on the radio was not only playing the music, but talking to the artists themselves, especially if I have them in studio and they're promoting their record or whatever show they're doing that night. Man, that is the best, man. You get to know the people. How did you become who you are? You were playing piano from 4 until you still play piano?
Oh, yeah. Our single Wishing Well from February, I played piano on that one. So yeah, I love it. It's probably my first love. I do what I need to do musically with whatever instrument I have to, but my first love, I think, is the piano.
Well, now that I'm thinking about it, I was watching the video that you have. You have 2 YouTube channels, and the one YouTube channel has you. Well, I guess it's Wishing Well. It has just a video with just. But I know there was one that you were playing piano on. Okay, yeah, I'm looking. You have a Wishing Well video that you're playing piano with the blue light behind it.
It was just at the beginnings of writing the tune back then.
So beautiful, man. And and then the saxophone. Do you keep that in your back pocket too? You still play?
The most I've done with saxophone is play sax solos on my keyboard. My Yamaha keyboard has like a great sounding tenor sax, just embedded sound. And I played keyboard in a reggae band actually for a little while, a couple of years ago, and broke that out every once in a while for a solo or in a recording here and there. I haven't actually physically played the sax in many years, but I feel like I could do it justice on the keyboard because I know how the instrument is played. I know where the breaths are taken and things like that. So.
Well, I spent a lot of time in the Florida Keys, especially Key Largo, my island. So I like a little reggae, man. That's another thing to have in your pocket. Different styles of music are going to affect the way that you write and the way that you put the music out to the other people. Have you always liked the rock genre, or have you delved into different parts? With the cover band, you really gave people gems on that one. There's 2 ways that you can make money. In the music business. You can either play in a cover band. You can play every week at a wedding or an event, bar mitzvahs, and make a good living. But if you bet on yourself, if you have the talent, the creativity to where in your you get ideas in your head and you can put them out on paper and inevitably out on tape or on digital audio. I guess these days, tape. I'm so old.
But hey, I started on tape, so I'm right there with you. And then I had a Tascam 4-track cassette recorder that you had to bounce tracks and stuff like that. So I know I would probably make the same reference.
So for how long have you been making music? You said you graduated in '90. When did you start performing in front of people? Even your classmates. Did you do that talent show back in junior high, or what were you doing?
School, I was in band, and we played. I played at concerts. I would guess 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th grade. Also, I played tenor. I moved to tenor sax, and I remember being in like the stage band it was like the JV. It was like I got moved up to the JV band or something like that. And then after that, I stopped with the saxophone, and then maybe around 8th or 9th grade, and I wasn't playing in school, but that's when I picked up the guitar.
Gotcha.
Maybe this is interesting. I didn't play my first like gig, like rock show until I was like 34, but I was always like, I was always performing, but I never like played in like the rock band ensemble, for a paid gig until not, like 15 years ago.
No, you had other things in your life. You were getting your school teacher certificate, and you were starting to teach classes. There's ways you can go. And who was it that said that you can become a school teacher, or what gave you the inkling, the desire to do that?
The lack of ability at that point of doing anything other than reading and writing. That's, I was like, I'd love to read and I'd love to write. What am I going to do? And my parents were like, do you like kids? And I was like, no. And they're like, well, maybe you should teach, so. But it turns out I love working with the young people. I didn't think I would. I didn't think that's what I'd be doing. I never had that ambition when I was younger, but it turns out great. Like, I enjoy working with the young folks that I do.
Yeah. What was the old adage? Those who can't do, teach, but what grades are you teaching?
I teach 8th grade English. Most people think I'm a music teacher, but I'm not. Yeah.
No, and it all goes hand in hand with songwriting. I was talking to a girl yesterday. She writes poetry, and then she turned that into being a lyricist. Does writing help to capacitate, or was it?
Yeah, I started the same way. I started with notebooks of poetry probably when I was 15 and 16. Okay. I would call them songs, but they weren't to music at that point. I still have them somewhere in a crate downstairs. I started that same way, with just writing. But it's funny because now I'm at the point where like the lyrics are like the last thing that I do, because I know I could write the lyrics. I know I'll come up with something. So it's like I put almost everything else into place. I'm like, okay, time to come up with a concept now.
Well, so now I'm thinking
like I'm relying only on words.
Now I'm thinking of all the great rock songs of the past, and a lot of them really didn't start with lyrics. It's those licks. When you hear the Rush songs or the Lynyrd Skynyrd songs, you hear those first few bars on a guitar, you're gonna go, oh yeah, or ZZ Top or any of those. I mean, who were the people that you were listening to, rock wise or what was the first record you had? Maybe
first Led Zeppelin 4 was the first one that I bought. Yeah,
that's a good record to have. That's a good one to start with.
Yeah, Led Zeppelin 4 was the first album I purchased with my own money, definitely.
Wow.
But hugely influential, I guess, on my music is probably Smashing Pumpkins' Siamese Dream. I know it's 90s. It's not like formative when I was a kid, but when you were talking before about there are bands that are really just heavy or just light and you can only take so much, I feel like Smashing Pumpkins sort of they were able to sort of go to both places, and that's where I'd like to go,
Oh, that's one to emulate for sure. I mean, Queen's my favorite. Queen,
that would be my next influence.
Oh my goodness, because every one of their albums, and even a lot of the albums, every song is a different kind of song. You're like, we talk about ballads and delving in different genres. This one's a hard rock song, but that's a disco song, and they're on the same album.
They probably did thrash metal before anybody did with Stone Cold Crazy.
Cold Crazy, my goodness.
Nobody played that. Nobody played like that back then. Black Sabbath didn't play like that.
Yeah, Brian May was a magician on guitar, and I guess John Deacon on his bass, and Roger Meadows Taylor on the drums.
You're a real fan.
Oh yeah, you got to give props to those guys. Those guys, when I started to listen to them back in the 70s, it was like, that changed my life musically. And talk about different types of music, and then Led Zeppelin 4 is a great album to have. Did you, in your cover band, did you ever cover some of those songs?
We didn't do from Led Zeppelin 4. What did we do? I can't. It's escaping me right now. But we did one. Oh, we did. I can't believe it's escaping me. We did one or two Zeppelin tunes, but not from. I don't think they were from Zeppelin 4. Like not Black Dog or anything. Certainly not Stairway to Heaven.
No Stairway. Denied.
Yeah.
No,
Um,
but,
but
when you were doing the cover band, and what year was the cover band? That wasn't right out of high school. That was just recently in your 30s, I guess.
I got exact dates actually. I don't know how, but 2006 to like 2017.
And what kind of covers were you doing, and what kind of gigs?
It started with, because I'm a teacher, and there was a bunch of other teachers to do a benefit at school for like hurricane victims, like Hurricane Katrina, I think it was back then, or I don't even remember which one. And so there were all teachers involved, and we had like a chemistry, the three of us, like the guitar player, myself on bass, and the drummer. We didn't really have a great vocalist as a teacher, so I brought in a buddy of mine after this benefit show who was a real good singer and versatile, to sing cover tunes, and we started learning a list, and then we just, started booking our own shows. We managed ourselves. We turned a profit. I mean, we weren't at the top of the cover band game here, but we certainly weren't at the bottom, and I enjoyed it, but like I said, you change as a person after that amount of time, after 11 years. Love these guys and value. And one thing, the value, I studied hit songs, during that whole time. So the way that I absorbed music, every song that we played was a popular tune, whether it was, Jenny or Jesse's Girl or Snoop Dogg. I mean, we were all over the map, Enter Sandman from Metallica, so we did something from Led Zeppelin too. What was it? I still
no.
Bring it on home.
Well, while you were thinking of that, I was thinking the songs that you mentioned even have guitar licks that in the beginning. Rick Springfield definitely, and Enter Sandman. They have those guitar licks. You don't even need to have the lyrics to know that song when it starts playing. Oh,
what I started to kind of discover through just learning the tunes is like Rick Springfield's Jesse's Girl. It was a hit song because it's a great song. The way it's put together and the way the choruses come and the structure of the tune, it's amazing. So, I don't look at the time that I spent in a cover band as like wasted time. I look at it as like gestation. Like that's where I learned hit songs. Hopefully some of those methods come out when I'm writing, you know what I mean? So, I wouldn't mind having one song that measures up to any of the cover songs that we were playing.
Yeah, I don't know much about guitars. I could probably play three chords, but I know in Jesse's Girl, when he says, I want Jesse's Girl, and this power chords, bah, 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 oh man, just hits you hard in the feels and the soul,
It's really well done. It's something that, folks maybe laugh at or, people are dancing around to at 2 a.m. or whatever, but it's really well constructed. Like for a lot of hit songs, what I see is they're hits because they're really well done, and that's why, even if it's kind of a simple tune,
Well, in all your time, did you learn how to write music? Did you learn, how to actually make notes and have a sheet?
For piano, I can't. I wouldn't really write out charts other than just like basic chord charts for guitar or bass. But for piano, I can write, individual notes on a staff book and all that. I didn't for like, my recent parts, because I don't have to show anybody the parts. I don't have to teach it, because I'm the guy that's playing it. But I do have the capability of writing music for piano.
And you can read music, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
See, and I've met a lot of guitarists, a lot of professional musicians that do not know how to read music, including my cousin Timmy. He listens to a song, and he's been on this podcast before. He listens to a song and then works it out in just a few minutes. Boop, boop, boop. There you go. There's the song. There's that guitar. There it is on guitar. Wow.
There's a great value to that too. I mean, just being able to sonically hear it and reproduce it, if you could do both, I mean, that's the pinnacle, that's the top,
Well, I'm guessing these days, these kids today, they don't have to. They can play into some kind of an app and it'll print it all out for them. Is that something that you've used?
No. I mean, I do all my performances like legitimately. The drums, we use electronic drums, but they're played. You know what I mean? And I don't have anything against anyone who programs drum tracks or anything like that. No. However you get there is how you get there,
Oh, you misunderstand me. I wasn't talking about that. I was saying, can you play a song into like an app and it'll print it out, like your music
I'm
for
sorry
somebody
about
else.
that. I got you. Yeah, no, you know what? That may exist, but that's beyond my knowledge. Then I'm sorry, I misunderstood you, Dan.
No, no problem. And
Yeah.
how you say you were using that Tascam 4-track? How long did you use that until technology came about that you can use computers, or are you still using analog? I mean, some people still do.
I graduated from the Tascam after a few songs I got. I don't know if you remember this. It was a Korg D1600. It was like a console itself. It wasn't a computer, it wasn't software, but it had a disk drive and it would write CDs, and it had 16 tracks on it. And, so I did a lot of growing and learning on that. But then eventually I just graduated to using recording software and an interface and learning by doing.
Are you recording it all yourself, or are you going to actual studios, or do you have your own studio?
I have my own studio down in the basement of my home here. So I do everything self-produced. I've actually never really, I'm not against it. I've just never been in a situation where someone else has produced my work. I'd love to see what that's like,
No, it takes a certain kind of person. Like, all right, I had an uncle who was in the band Crier. He was the drummer. And I guess their claim to fame is they opened for Motley Crue back in the 80s. And they thought, I think it was in overseas, like in France somewhere. But he was a great drummer. And, I remember he was trying to put his music out and make his own music. And whoever was mixing the music, whatever instrument they played, that was the sound that was most prevalent. It's hard to have that discerning ear, that unbiased ear. If you're the guitar player, guess what you're going to hear in that song more likely than not? Oh, the guitars are turned way up. Yeah, you hear it? Yeah. And that drummer is way back in the back. How do you overcome that?
No, back in the day, I engineered and produced a recording for a doo-wop band, a friend's doo-wop band. And I even said to them, I'm a bass player, because that's what I predominantly was then. And you guys have to guard against me having the bass too loud. So because I knew that I tended to do that. So I guess I have like a little bit of an objective ear, because I know when I'm being biased, So I kind of relied on other people to guard against that, And there were times where the bass was too low, where they're like, you're compensating too much for your own, selfishness.
Well, that's good. I mean, you don't seem like you're a prima donna. That when you do mix something down, you're going to show it to the rest of the band. You're going to show it to some friends. You're going to, have a little listening party. Hey, what do you think of this?
Constructive criticism, definitely. I always want to get that.
So
you never know what you might miss that someone else is going to hear. So.
Any of those recordings from the Tascam, do they exist online anywhere?
Not online, in my garage on cassette, but there's nothing online, and it shouldn't be.
Oh, digitize those things for Throwback Thursday. Come on, people want to know.
You don't want to hear that.
Well, all right, you progressed since then, so what did you learn from doing those original recordings, and what have you refined since then? What has gotten better and better over time?
That's a great question. I would say mostly, by far, my vocals. I was a horrible singer, and I'm not here to say that I'm an outstanding singer, but I have improved an awful lot over time. And it's not an accident or just from practice. It's like study, watching YouTube videos on vocal technique, reading about vocal technique, all that kind of thing. And, I bet you there are probably a lot of people out there who could be better singers if they, applied themselves to the theoretical, I guess, aspect of it. So, but hands down, I was never a good singer. In the cover band, I sang harmony and backup, and I was improving there. But it took me a while to have the goal to be the main singer and frontman. I had to really develop myself.
No formal training,
not formally, but definitely like watching Eric Arsenault videos on YouTube with just vocal warm up and technique, and just grabbing anything that I could read, on how to prepare, what foods to eat, what not to eat, even those kind of things.
Well, is it breathing or is it humming? Mama.
But it's got to come, it's got to come from here. It's got to come from the gut. If it's coming from here, it's probably a bad, not going to get a great sound, and you're going to hurt yourself. You're going to strain yourself, which I've done before. Dairy's no good, orange juice is no good, anything that's like creates phlegm. I hope I can say that on your show, but something that's salty and oily like a potato chip might be good because it kind of lubricates the throat and breaks down anything that might be jammed down there. So, those are maybe a few of the things I picked up along the way.
Who'd have known, man? Ever since I moved from Miami in the Florida Keys down to South Florida, and I moved to Arkansas, and I kind of fell into the karaoke shows. So when when I do DJ work, they'll say, "Can you do karaoke too?" And I say, "Yeah, no problem, got it." And there's some good talent. There's some people that come out, and they could have been somebody. I could have been a contender. I'm impressed with some of the people that come out to karaoke shows and belt it out. I'm like, man, you could be in front of 50,000 people. And then there's a few that, hey, they just do it for fun and they're not quite as good. But I mean, what do you think?
People have to choose something that they can actually sing.
Oh yeah. I mean, I have my my 80s tunes. If the occasion calls for it, I try not to sing. But Video Killed the Radio Star and Word Up, I might do those. But what you said, you were doing a cover band, but you in a party band, you have to have a wide variety of songs. But what made you say, let me bet on myself? I got this book of poems or these lyrics in my head or these licks that I've made up. What made you bet on yourself, and when did that happen? Just a couple of years ago?
Yeah, 2017. I got to be forthright with you as becoming a Christian. And I'm not going to become preachy on your show or anything like that, but I was baptized in 2017, and I felt like I had a hard time doing things that weren't really me anymore, so I just couldn't fake it anymore, so it was like a hard decision, because I was giving up making a little bit of money and disappointing the other guys in the group, although the guitar player has since joined me and is playing with me. But it was, it was really that. It was like a leap of faith, literally, in my life, and just this is who I am. This is what I got to do.
Hey, Lou Megna, I want you to know this is not my podcast. This is your podcast. And I think I went the opposite way. I used to be so full of faith. I was born into a Catholic family. I went to Catholic school for the first 6 years of my life. And then after that, I kind of spun around. I went to a Baptist church, a Jewish synagogue, mostly because I was dating girls of these different faiths. And I went to church with them, and I was kind of interested in what. But I felt so hypocritical when I stopped and I watched the movies that I watch, and I listened to the music that I listen to, and I go to the parties that I go to, and I'm DJing the type of parties. It feels so hypocritical to cuss on a Saturday and then go to church on Sunday, and I'm guessing, is that what happened, or did you had like a crisis of life and faith walked in?
Well, there's a lot of illness in my family with my parents, so that has definitely made me, gravitate towards faith, no doubt about it. When you have things like that, you got to rely on, the things that are unseen, I guess. But it wasn't anything like that. I think it's just sort of a natural progression, it really feels like. I don't think it was like a huge surprise or a huge change, at least not to me. But I feel that there's like a mission or a purpose for myself. Like I said, that the thing with Long Island Care is like, it's real important to me. And I really want to have like a second income or a second salary so I can do those kind of things, the beneficial things that I want to do. And I just didn't think that. I thought original music is either going to do great or nothing. But the cover band is just going to pay my cable bill. You know what I mean? So that's, I guess I got to bet on myself, but it's like all coming from good, good places, wanting to do good in this world. Yeah. At least that's how I feel,
I wish I still had that faith. I do miss the fellowship of going to a church and being with people that are trying to be the best type of people they can be. I remember being, feeling like a lot of it was judgmental, and it was a little preachy. Yeah, of course it is, because they're preaching, man. They're trying to teach you something. But I've read the Bible, and I enjoy it a lot. I don't know what type of church you're going to, and maybe you could recommend a good church in Long Island for the people.
I go to Grace Gospel in Patchogue. It's a Baptist church, and I just feel like, and when you were talking about, cursing on Saturday and going to church on Sunday and the types of parties, the Lord says we're not supposed to take our light and put it under a basket. We're supposed to be at those parties. We're supposed to be we're among everybody who's cursing and doing drugs or whatever. The people who are well, they don't need a physician, but the people who are sick, that's who needs to be inspired. And I'm never going to tell anybody what to do, because someone tried to tell me what to do when I was young, and I went in the opposite direction. I had to learn for myself. But I just want to try to be like an example. That's really what I'm trying to be. Because if folks see the Lord working in my life, then maybe they'll make them think,
be the example, Lou Megna. That's fantastic. Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest causes of strife in my marriage is automatically, as soon as my wife tells me to do something, I'm automatically no, but then I go, all right, honey, I'll do it. It's automatic that I want to push against, push back.
We want to do the same things as others, but we want to be the ones to decide it,
So yeah, I think that she uses that psychology on me quite a bit when she makes me think that it was my idea to do the job. Have you just thought about that deck that you were going to build outside? Oh yeah, I should do that, or something. Whatever idea that she has in her head, she's good. She uses the force on me constantly, and it's good to have that in my life. I don't know if you have a special someone in your life.
I do not at the time, and it comes out in my writing. So okay.
I mean, is that by design, or was that, you've dodged a few bullets?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have regrets like, this woman or that woman I didn't marry or whatever, but I would like to find the right person. Absolutely.
All right. You heard it here, folks. I'm
not against marriage or family, and I'm in need of those things. So,
any good girls out there of the right age, slip into Lou Megna's DMs.
You're great, and I appreciate it.
Oh, no problem, man. No, I appreciate you so much, man. I'm actually learning quite a bit from you. But born and raised in Long Island. I've never been to the New York area. I've really hardly been north of the Mason-Dixon. I talked to a girl yesterday from the Lower East Side. She had to explain to me that was Manhattan, and that she lived in Brooklyn for a little while. And she had to explain to me that those are two different places. To me, New York is all one big giant place. But Long Island, tell me about Long Island. If you were the tour guide of Long Island, what would you suggest?
Long Island is great. Like, beaches are awesome. If you're a city person, like you work in the city, but you want to have proximity to the city, but have, suburb lifestyle and beaches and all that kind of thing, parks, then, a lot of folks dig Long Island for that. I live a little bit east, not all the way east on Long Island, but a little bit further away from the city, so it's like probably a 45-minute, maybe an hour car ride to Manhattan from where I live.
See, that's too far for me, man. We just moved out to the country, and it's like 25 minutes away from the grocery store, and I go, ugh, that is far. I need people.
I'm not the biggest city person either. I mean, I will go. I'm not anti, but I don't need to go to the city. Like, there are folks who are like, I have to go to Manhattan. I'm just like, yeah, all right, I'll see you. But I'm more of, I love the beach. I love I love Montauk Point, which is the opposite direction on Long Island. It's the other end of Long Island. And I got a buddy that lives out there. Him and his family live out there, and I go and chill with them every once in a while, and you breathe the salt air and everything like that. It's like very like seaside community.
Well, I mean, if you're gigging, you need people. You need to go into the city, find a club, find a bar.
ultimately, I'm sure I'll end up there if things go, well and prosperous for me. But, and I don't have any, like I said, I don't have any aversion. But if you give me the choice of like a beach or, like this, an event in the city, I'll probably be at the beach.
Well, okay, Native Son. That's a kind of an interesting name. How did that come about, Native Son? I'm sure you've been asked this question.
No one ever asked me that. I'm so glad.
Oh my goodness, you're funny.
Native Son was it's the title of a novel that really influenced me when I was in college. It's by a Black American author, Richard Wright, it's the subject matter of the book, but it's also like the Richard Wright was known for just really gripping, intense writing with simple language, and that's really what I hope I got from him. Is like I'm not trying to bewilder anybody with vocabulary, but just maybe paint little pictures or touch on broad ideas with simple language, so that was, his writing was like a big inspiration to me, so there's been a few like versions of the Native Son band over the years, but I've always kind of stuck with that as the concept for the original band.
Well, I haven't really listened to any of the lyrics all the way through. Do you keep your lyrics simplified? Because I feel like the most popular or the most long-lived American music songs are the ones that say the same thing over and over again, and they say the same thing over and over again. Yeah.
Well, I'm also a big fan of Sam Cooke, and Sam Cooke's thing was, your song should have a lilting melody and it should tell a simple little story. Now, I'm not really much of I don't think I'm a storyteller with my lyrics, but I try to have that melody in there, that little simple catch. And, I think also teaching as an 8th grade teacher, like you learn to, and there's no offense to 13-year-olds, you learn to keep things simple, like even if it's a big idea, because everybody's got to be on board, So it's like not an insult to anybody, but if we can get to like a common denominator, then that's good,
Well, I'm a big fan of KC and the Sunshine Band, and Harry Casey. I got the chance to talk to him for a little bit, and he said when he was writing his music, and you know that KC and the Sunshine Band is very repetitive. I want to put on my boogie shoes, my boogie shoes, my boogie. He'll say it. He worked at a record store way back in, I guess, 72, somewhere around there, before he got big. And people would come in and say, hey, do you have that song that says, I can't remember the name of it, but it's got, blue in there somewhere, the guy with that hair, and you're like, and he goes, and the ones that they asked for the record and they knew it right off, those are the ones that were most repetitive. So that's where he got his inspiration. But you got your inspiration. I could see that you're very reflective on certain kinds of people. Harry Chapin, that's a good guy to emulate. And Richard Wright, now I'm learning about him through you, and I'm gonna go look for that book. Is it called Native Son? Yeah,
it's intense, man. I just give you the warning. It's intense. I read it when I was maybe 18 or so. I think it was in my first year in college, and I was like a little shaken up for a few days. Like not distraught, but it was like someone just rattled my brain around a little bit. Changed my way of thinking somewhat, and my way of approaching writing too,
I used to be such a big reader in school, in high school, and even into college, and I have given it up. I read one book over the last month, and I was so proud of myself. And it was a short book. It was maybe 300 pages or so, nothing major, but I was so proud of myself that I actually picked up a physical book and read it. And I talked to an author on this thing. I talked to Mark Grisham, the brother of John Grisham, and he wrote 2 books, and he sent me those 2 books. I still haven't read them. They're sitting on my shelf.
Yeah, but see, that's the same thing as the wife telling you what to do. That he's saying, read this book, and you're like, no, I can't because I didn't decide to do it.
No, but he sent them to me. I've had him on the podcast, and as a thank you, he sent them, and he even he signed them for me, and I was like, oh, that's so nice. I need to actually read them now. They're sitting there. I need to read. But that's one of my goals. I'm in the middle of moving, and I want to read. Do you feel like reading is an important thing? I mean, shoot, you're an English teacher. What do you assign to the kids in 8th grade? What's the big books?
I don't have I don't have like the authority, let's say, to decide
Oh,
what they read anymore, unfortunately. So one of the things that they have them reading in 8th grade is To Kill a Mockingbird, which is a classic, but that's not necessarily my choice for 13-year-olds.
it's so controversial now. I mean,
Yeah.
I think I read it and I even watched the movie. It was great,
But I had to tiptoe through teaching that to young folks.
Yeah, I mean they're trying to take. Hey, okay, there's something. They're trying to take Tom Sawyer out. They're trying to ban a few books. I mean, it's starting to sound like Fahrenheit 451 out there. As a school teacher, how do you feel?
I mean, it's a little bewildering, but I guess I'm in the middle school frame of mind, so like a lot of those controversial works, it just kind of doesn't even enter. Where I sort of wish they would take To Kill a Mockingbird and ban it because I wouldn't have to teach it because it's so sensitive to teach the 13-year-olds, but no one wants to ban that book. So, I mean, it's a fantastic book, but I'm sort of like, if you don't read this on your own, you just shouldn't read it. Like,
Yeah, I think I was reading like a Last Babylon, and there was quite a few books, and I remember, I remember 1984. I think it was a book that I had to read, and I remember. Now I know why. Was it Winslow? No, is it Winslow? He loves Big Brother. Anyway,
Yeah.
he didn't love Big Brother all the way through the book, but now I know he loved him at the end.
Yeah. The thing is, what ended up happening in reality is we all became Big Brother to each other.
Oh my goodness! Ugh.
You
But
know what I'm saying?
yeah,
It's one thing that wasn't predicted in that book.
oh my goodness, it's so scary how close a lot of that is, and it. Oh
I
my,
know what you're talking about, man.
what's that?
Science fiction writers of like the 50s and 60s and 70s, they knew what they were talking about.
Oh yeah, and I listened to a lot of podcasts, and I figured out where, like H.G. Wells was way back in the mid 1800s, and he's writing about these things like the time machine, way into the future. They're gonna have the elites, and then the people that have a whole lot, and the people have a very little, and that's where we're at. You get that. We could talk forever. I mean, with the 1% and the 99%, and all these people have so much, but do we take from them? No, they worked hard for that. I mean, somehow they got up there. Should I be jealous or should I cheer them on? Good job. How'd you do it? Maybe I can follow in your footsteps. I don't know. What's your idea on that?
I just know the Lord's idea and his is that, a rich person will have a harder time getting to the kingdom of heaven than a camel getting through the eye of a needle. So
I like that verse
right there.
I like that verse, man. Have you read the Bible quite a bit? Or have you read it all the way through?
Yeah, I have, and I'm pretty much daily in there. I'm not to the point where I could tell you, hey, this is Luke 10 and whatever, but I have a conceptual, understanding, I guess, of it, and the churches that I've attended, they just do a great job of making the message, real pertinent to the Bible and instructing on the Bible. So, it's like going to a class every Sunday. So.
Well, yeah, when I first got here to Arkansas in 2009, I was, I went to, I guess, Holland Baptist Church here in Arkansas, and I was, and I think we had Bible study for the men every morning, and it was kind of interesting, to crack that Bible open and have a nice talk. Like I said, the fellowship was probably, you're trying to be a good person. Can you be that without religion? Maybe, probably, but with the religion, it kind of gives you a little injection of, hey, remember, probably shouldn't be doing that stuff. Be nice to people.
Guidelines to stay between, at the very least.
The narrow road, right?
Yeah.
That's one of my favorites. The narrow. I couldn't tell you where it was in the Bible, but the narrow road is the road to live by. But man,
I think a lot in terms of sort of staying in parameters, and if you stray outside of it a little bit, it's kind of okay because that's what being a human being is,
Yeah, I mean, and I guess when I got on the radio, I stopped cursing back in '86. When I was a kid, I used to curse like a sailor, man. And then my brother became a sailor, and he really curses like a sailor.
He's professional.
Yeah, but I mean, we're kind of diverging a little bit. I'm just getting your ideas and your thoughts and your views on things. But and how much of the religion, because you said you wanted to keep it, out of the, is it secular music still, or is it godly music, or do you just kind of have your own idea of how to write a song, and that's the parameters you want to stay in with the Native Son music?
What an awesome question again. Like worship music. I played in the worship. I played percussion and drums in the worship band for a while in one of the churches. And one of the aspects of worship music is it has to be scriptural. And none of my music is scriptural, but I would say that some of my songs are like maybe a step towards thinking about some of these things. There are a lot of folks who they don't believe in an afterlife, you know what I mean? And maybe folks need to be led to kind of contemplate those things first before you start to think about a relationship with God and Jesus Christ. So, I have a song that kind of even just broaches those ideas of that there's something more. Because for me, that's, every day of my life, that's the truth. But for other folks, they might be just coming around to, or just thinking about that, So, as someone who was just saved a few years ago, it's like I have the perspective of folks who, maybe don't believe or doubtful or whatever. And maybe I have a little, finger on the heartbeat of what folks maybe need to hear first before we get to worship music. Is great for Christians, but I don't know if it's great for people who aren't Christians, Well,
I mean, somebody who gets converted so late in life, I mean, you could really go wholeheartedly and become a zealot. And it's now that you know this good news, you want to tell everybody. I want to tell everybody. I just found out this good stuff, man. I want, do you feel like you do that sometimes, or do you feel like just learn right from example?
You made me feel comfortable speaking directly to you, but if I didn't get that cue, I probably would have kept it a little bit, more to myself, because it's not really about what's good for me. It's what's good for the kingdom, And like I said, I'm sensitive to the fact of turning people off by telling them what to do, So I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to show some folks and have some folks hear what I'm about, because like I said, maybe, that's the way to lead. If you ask me, it's not, you must do this or you must do that, because, folks just go in the opposite direction.
Oh, people tell me all the time, stop talking religion and politics. I go, why? If that's what's on their mind, I want to know from the people. I want to give you the platform. I want to give you the opportunity to tell your life story if you want. If that's something that you want to do. I've gone 3 hours 45 minutes with a lady, and she told me her whole life story. I loved it. I mean, and now I've kind of cut them down to where there may be an hour, maybe an hour 20. Nothing crazy.
Yeah,
I mean,
I don't want you'll be asleep if you hear my life story. So
I mean, usually you can get the big points, and it gives people an opportunity to promote whatever they're doing. And I think people.
I don't want to talk to you about 25 years in an 8th grade English class.
No, and man, 8th grade. Are you catching the kids? Are they? Do they have knives yet? Are they carrying weapons? Are they? Is there drug use rampant? I mean, 8th grade. I remember that was the year there was one kid that got caught with marijuana, and he got hauled off to jail or juvenile detention or something. And we're like, ooh, wow,
Yeah,
that was the year.
Yeah, this year in particular, I have some great kids, and I'm not just saying that because I'm being telecast somewhere and they might see it. I have great kids, and they have great families. And as far as I don't know, drug use or that kind of thing, I mean, I'm sure it's happening. I don't have my head in the sand, but I don't see it in our building. I'm pretty fortunate to be where I am. And I just, especially with the adversity of going to school during a pandemic, the kids I have this year, they're great. They're so admirable. Even the kids who do nothing are really nice.
Well, I mean, I never had the inkling. My mom, who's been on this podcast, she told her whole life story. And I was like, these are things I should not know about my mother. But she was a child of the 60s, and she, did everything. But I'm seeing, the things are starting to get lax on drugs, and marijuana is almost legal all over in many states. But you know what I worry about is now there's vaping. I guess the kids are getting younger and younger with vaping. My mom, she said she started smoking when she was 14 or so, and then she quit as soon as my grandfather got diagnosed with cancer. Quit that day. That
That's
day.
it.
You know.
Eye opener for
Yeah.
her.
I mean, but kids are vaping, and people have to experience their own things. And
Once again, it's like an example. I don't know if there's any better way, to lead folks is just, like I don't do, like I used to be a cigarette smoker and I quit years ago, and I talk to my kids about that, and I'm honest with them, and I tell them, if I saw you smoking, how could I get mad at you? I wouldn't be a hypocrite. I'd be concerned, and I try to talk you out of this bad habit, but I wouldn't get mad at you and yell at you because I was doing it.
Well, and that's going to affect your voice anyway. You remember Steven Tyler way back when had the voice of an angel, and all the years of smoking has just, wrecked him. I mean, he still sings great, but in a different kind of way, real raspy and rocky.
That's a great point, because I talked to you a little bit about that. I've improved a lot of singing, and quitting cigarettes probably had a big deal. I haven't touched it in 5 years, well, more than 5 years.
And do you feel cleaner? You feel stronger? Are you exercising more now?
I'll never smoke again. I'll never smoke a cigarette again.
Fantastic. Do you have an exercise regimen that you go through, or how do you stay in such wonderful shape?
You're not seeing the whole picture here, but I just I walk and just jog a little bit, just right in my neighborhood. I belong to a gym, but I haven't been there in the longest time, probably so many other people. I guess I'm scheduled to get vaccinated the 25th, and then after that, maybe I'll start returning to the gym. I'll probably feel a little better about it then.
Man, I got my Moderna double shot, and I feel like Superman now. It's like the CDC said, go out and play, and I went, yes, thank you. And I still carry a mask in my pocket if the place, the grocery store or they require it. Of course, I'm going to do it. And politicians, man, they have washed their hands of that. They say, oh yeah, we're not going to do a mask mandate. No, you're going to have all the businesses have to get yelled at,
Yeah.
Politicians. Ugh.
Yeah. As a teacher, I don't know how it is elsewhere, but in New York, New Yorkers don't really like their teachers to have outspoken political views. You know what I mean? So, and I have to tell you, I love it because I don't have to say anything, and I just keep it to myself, and it's fine. But and I can understand that because parents, they're the ones who are teaching their philosophy to their kids, and they may not want them to be influenced by my beliefs on whatever, who I vote for. So I don't say anything about it, but over these last few years, I'm so thankful for that.
Well, I love that some people that I meet up with accuse me of being liberal, and then other people that I meet up with accuse me of being conservative. That means I am right down the middle. Right where I should be.
Like Harry Chapin was.
Yeah, those people on the far left and the far right, they're the ones causing trouble. Stay here.
One thing that Chapin realized was that if you want to get anything done, you're going to have to work with both sides.
Absolutely.
So that's what he did. And he was such a litigator, and he was such a Capitol Hill guy. I don't know if people are aware of that. But
who was this? I'm sorry, I missed who that was.
Oh, no, Harry Chapin.
Harry Chapin. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, I'm back on him again. But he was so involved with politics, but I couldn't tell you if he was Republican or Democrat. He was whatever he needed to be to get it done.
That was one of the greatest things that I learned about Walter Cronkite when he retired, that he was a full-blown liberal Democrat but you never would have known it.
I never thought that.
Never knew it because he reported the news, and that's the way it is. And that's the news. That's the way you should be doing it. Just the facts, man. Let me decide, what I want to do with those facts. And hopefully
I want to teach my kids to think, but not how, what to think. It's just to make sure you think.
Yeah. You watch too much CNN, you watch too much Fox, you listen to too much NPR. A lot of it is so much opinions. It's so opinionated. And like I listen to NPR in the morning, and those 2 minutes of news they give you every half hour, that's the only actual news that you actually need. Everything else is just filler.
Headline, Yep.
Everything else is just filler. All right, man. But what's on the horizon for the Native Son? You said you started playing. You started delving into your own thing in 2017. What have you done with it? Do you play? And who are the people in the band? And what kind of gigs are you playing?
Okay, so drummer is a guy, Ray Zare. We've been friends since we were like 5. A bass player is a guy, Rob Masterson. He was the bass player in the reggae band that I told you I was involved in, so that's how I connected with him. And Tim O'Malley is the guitar player, and he was the guitar player in the cover band that we teach together. We know each other for the whole 25 years that I've been there, you know. So the guys that I go back with away and have, you know, like a past with, have experiences with. We were gigging around Long Island before the pandemic. You know, as I'm sure you're aware, it's not the easiest thing to find original music gigs, but we were getting going, and we had released a couple of albums. And then since the pandemic, we played a little bit. We attempted to play a little bit when things were starting to reopen last summer, but I kind of saw how it was going, and I was like, this wouldn't be really responsible to be in the classroom, you know, to be doing this now, you know. So I've held off with like kind of performing live, you know, until I'm vaccinated, until things really genuinely open up or whatever, you know, because I'm going to be in a crowded room with kids and everything. I just think it's the more responsible thing to do, you know. So we really haven't performed, and we've only recorded sort of one-on-one, you know, with me engineering the recordings. I haven't seen the whole band together in several months, to be honest with you, but it's coming soon. Like I'd say, you know, within a week or two, we're going to start, rehearsing again and looking to play out and start moving forward. You know.
Well, give a shout out to the clubs that around Long Island that have that gave these kids a break. You know, these kids that have these original songs.
You know, it's crazy. It's like some of them don't exist anymore, and we're only around for a couple of years, but the pandemic wiped out, you know, like this one club, Revolution, which was a great place for original music bands, and occasionally like national acts would come through there. Like we opened for, I don't know if you remember the Stray Cats from the 80s.
Brian Setzer with his big Gretsch guitar. Come on.
Now, I didn't open for Brian Setzer, but the drummer, Slim Jim Phantom, has his own act. He's from Long Island.
Heck yeah.
So we opened for them. That was kind of a cool thing because they had a following or whatever. But Revolution closed. They went like bankrupt during the pandemic, and it's gone. It sounds like, you know, this was 10 years ago. We played there like at the end of 2019, you know. I'm trying to think. It's like some places that exist still, like Brick House Brewery in Patchogue. We played before. 89 North in Patchogue. You know, another great venue that's still, you know, that survived. But a couple of other places even that we played, they're gone now. It's crazy.
I mean, I feel like those places like CBGB's and you know, that you never know who was going to sneak in there and play. You know, you might see Green Day, you might see, you know, members of the Stray Cats walk through and play.
There's a place like that out east. It's called Stephen Talkhouse. It's in Amagansett, which is the town where my buddy lives, and like they have a wall with photographs of, you know, Roger Waters stopped in and played, or Paul McCartney, because they're out there all the time. Roger Waters, I think, lives out there, and Paul McCartney has a house out there.
Yeah, we have a place called Juanita's in Little Rock, Juanita's, and people just cruise on through. You know, you never know who you're going to see. You'll see a local band will play, you know, like Native Son might show up, but then somebody will say, hey, can I have a couple minutes? Yeah, no problem. It's like comedians working stuff out at the comedy store.
You know, like half of Pink Floyd is playing, you know.
You know, Roger Waters, hello, Pink Floyd's here. Okay.
Yeah, no, he's out there.
Oh, that's fantastic, man. So, I mean, what's on the horizon? I know New York is opening up. You know, you're going to get vaccinated. I think about 43% of the Americans are vaccinated at this point. And they're looking to get the kids vaccinated, so that way even the people that are kind of like, I'm kind of, you know, pushing back on it, maybe I don't want to get vaccinated, even if they don't get vaccinated with the kids, it'll get us close to that 80%, so we can all go out and play. I think I think President Biden wants us to go out by 4th of July, have it all open up.
Yeah, that would be fantastic. We don't have anything like formally booked or anything. I've been offered a couple of things, but I'm sort of like, this isn't the right time. But we have a single coming out May 26th called Angel. And I think it might be the last or second to last single that we're going to put out before we put out the next full length album. So Angel is coming. I've been trying to promote that tune. I have it up on the Bandcamp, and it's going to be on all the digital platforms and everything like that. And it's a really cool tune. I'm like very pleased with it. So hopefully folks will dig it.
Well, I noticed there was a draft of it on your YouTube page, so so people can get a little taste of it. Man, it has been an extreme pleasure talking to you, Lou Megna. As we
thank you so much.
No, man, as we wind this thing down, I just love chit-chatting with people and finding out more about what makes you tick. You've been doing it since you were 4 years old, man. And Mom pushed you into that. That's fantastic. And she accordion. I mean, who'd have known? You're a rocker, bro. I mean, I know I'm kind of recapping a little bit, but
I appreciate it.
These are the beginnings of you, and this is what made you the rock star that you are, man. And I do believe that given the right chance, you are going to do what you want, get to whatever level you want with the Native Son original music. And it's nice that you have a good group of boys that'll come over. They all live pretty close then?
Oh yeah. Everybody's close by pretty much. And we rehearse at my house. We record at my house, just like when I was growing up, all the music was happening at, my parents' house, and all the music happens at my house. So.
Well, I noticed that you said that mostly you tour around Long Island. To be a touring musician, you do have to give up a lot of things. And once you get to a certain age, people want to have a family. I'm guessing some of your boys might have that family, and to leave them behind for a little while.
It's interesting. None of us have kids.
What?
None of us.
But
and
still.
I just realized that right now. None of us have kids.
Okay. I mean, you still got some touring time then. Maybe you can take your...
But as far as touring, I'm 6 years away from retirement, so I'll be able to tour all year round.
What? Oh my goodness. You're a whippersnapper. You're a youngin'. Really? You can retire at this age?
6 more years, 2027, and then I'll be playing out all the time.
No kidding. You're going to give up teaching completely and take that pension and go?
Yes.
Oh, that's the dream. That's the dream, man. Well, you still have a lot of life left to live. That's fantastic, man. I'm
still working, but I want to do something different. I started teaching when I was 22, so I don't knock it. It's a fantastic job, and I'm very blessed, but I'm ready to try something different. It's time for me to just see what a different life is like, So
time for me to fly.
Absolutely.
All right, man. Well, as we wind this thing down, any other shout outs to the people that have helped you along the way?
I mean, just once again, Radio What? Awesome. Thank you so much I don't know, if you caught this, but my birthday was last week, and you had played A Day to Remember, which was one of our tunes. And I was like, and it was early. I was like, what a great way to start my birthday. Like, that's just so awesome. So, shout out to you, and thank you so much for giving me the chance to speak, tonight. And just giving our music airplay, man. It's so appreciated. If there's some way that I could help you out, just let me know.
Nah, you're giving me content. You're giving me gems, man. You're giving the people listening gems on how to become a rock star like Lou Megna. And I don't want this to be the last time that we talk. As things come out, if you're promoting new stuff, I mean, we can just pop on for 30 minutes or so, and you can promote whatever's coming on, coming up in your life. But usually, I finish these things off with last words for the people, and I want you to give last words. It could be words to live by that you heard a long time ago. Maybe a relative told you something. Maybe your mom, or just maybe a mantra that you wake up with every morning. You look in the mirror and you go, Lou Megna, this, or whatever pops into your head. Lou Megna, Native Son original music. Last words for the people.
I guess just set that example, set that example. That's how we help each other. That's how we survive as a race. We set that example for each other, doing the right thing. Can't force people to do the right thing. You just got to show, So I guess that's about it.
Well, there you have it, party people. Lou Megna of the original son of the Native Son Original Music. How did I do that? I've been saying it this whole time. Native Son Original Music. Look for it. Oh my goodness. All the links will be in the show notes. I got his Bandcamp, his Twitter feed, Facebook feed. Yeah. And his YouTubes. He's got 2 YouTubes. One is for Native Son, and I guess one is kind of a personal one. He's only got 2 different videos on that one. But the Native Son Original Music YouTube, I encourage you to check that one out. In the Bandcamp. And find his music, man. If you have a way to purchase it, do it. And if you want to... and if you're a nice lady of the right age, I encourage you to slip into his DMs. He needs to meet a nice girl. This is a dating app now. The What Makes You Famous podcast. Thank you so much, Lou Megna, for being on the show. I appreciate it. Now, I turn my attention to you. If you would like to tell your story, I encourage you to give me a call, 501-470-6386, or email info@radiowhat.com. That's it for this edition of What Makes You Famous. It's KeysDAN, RadioWhat.com, DJLittleRock.com. Peace. I'm out of here.